Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide. Today we're taking an in-depth look into the Ratta Supernote A6X. So this is a 7.8-inch e-ink reader note-taking device. It's a successor to their previous Supernote A6, which I loved a lot. So let's check it out and see what's what. And here we are. So this is the Supernote A6X, which is the updated version of Ratta's original Supernote A6. Let's get into the design and the build quality of it first. Well, to begin with, it's, as I've commented in the unboxing and first impressions, this is pretty much exactly the same like the original. I do like the boxiness and the boxy design of it. I think it's very, very pleasant, and especially with this kind of back that's slightly different color than the white that's all around and all that kind of stuff. I think it really is designed nicely, and that's something that won me over with A6. So since there's no differences between A6 and A6X, except for these two little things next to the power button, everything else is exactly the same. I like it. I really like the design itself. The build quality is okay. There's nothing terribly wrong with it, but it's not outstanding either. And that's something that's a little bit for me at the price point, because it is a pricier device. And for that price point, I think that it should have been a little bit better, especially because the previous generation A6 also had this issue of slight bends, which I don't know if they can be perceived. They're very slight bends, but you can see that it's bending outwards a little bit, ever so slightly. So that's not a big deal at all. There's no deal, it's not a deal breaker. It did not affect how my A6 worked in all of these months, and I don't project that it's going to affect how A6X works either. However, in the context of a premium price, then it really needs to, you know, kick butt as far as the build quality goes. And this one, unfortunately, doesn't. It's all plastic. It's nice plastic. It's good plastic, but it's scratchy. There's no refinement to it, and that I think is my only gripe with this thing. I like how it's designed, but for the price point, the build quality is not what I would expect. It's a little bit lower. As far as the specifications go, well, this is a mildly improved version of the Supernote A6. So it comes with the same type of e-ink Carta HD screen, which is at 7.8 inches, and the same resolution 1872 by 1404, which means 300 ppi. Great. So that part is the same. What's inside is a little bit different. So this one is actually using a quad-core 1.8 GHz CPU, which is twice the amount of cores from the previous one, and it's faster. Then it uses 2 GB of RAM instead of 1 GB of RAM, and then we have the same type of 32 GB of storage. So the main improvement is the CPU and RAM, and that's a good thing, because it's also running a completely brand new operating system, which is basically Android based, but it's totally dressed up in a different Supernote suit. So it has an Android buried deep underneath all of the stuff, but I do like the choice. It's still their own OS experience. They have this full dedicated kind of overlay and user interface. It also has a 2900 milliamp battery. As I said, it's a 7.8-inch screen with a standard resolution and a density of 300 ppi, which is excellent, and it means it's going to be a crisp type of display. No, it is not a front-lit device. The main point and the main purpose of the Supernote is in its name, taking notes. And this is the version that I have, is with the Lamy Star EMR pen, which is really cool. So I'm just using the default nib and everything here. So I'm gonna do a writing example so that you can see the speed and hear the sound of it, and then we're gonna continue in depth into everything else. As you've seen, and I'll test with the D.E.S.T.A, of course, to kind of see, but my impression is that I think it's probably going to perform in low 50s or higher 40 millisecond range, because it really feels fast. Now, when combined with the Lamy pen, it's really comfortable as well, and I love the fact that you have the button here to kind of simply erase if you want, and all that kind of stuff. Now, one of the things that's fairly unique and special to the Ratta and the Supernote approach, and what makes them stand out, is basically how they approach the screen itself. So the surface of the screen is basically a dedicated special type of a screen protector, if you will, that is their own kind of compound, and it's soft but not too soft, and it's smooth but not too smooth. So the combination is something truly unique. You have two very important end results from this type of approach that they have, and that's what makes Supernote stand out amongst other things. First of all is that the writing feel is extremely unique. You can't really compare it, and that when combined with a pen like this that has a little bit of suspension, shall we say, as well, that's a really good combination. I mean, the writing is very effortless and extremely comfortable. Definitely an excellent writing experience as far as I'm concerned. The readability, the speed, the comfort, and all these kinds of things are really good. So what's the second benefit of this screen protector? Well, because it's a softer type of a surface, whatever nibs you actually use are gonna last longer, because this surface bends in as you write and then goes back. The abrasion is not as strong as it would be on a hard surface. With or without a screen protector, it doesn't matter. A soft surface is not going to spend your nibs as quickly as a hard one will. That's just how it works. And another point that actually goes into this is, if you decide to get the Supernote A6, this the other package, to get the standard pen or the ceramic white or whatever pen, they all now come with the never spend or everlasting nib, which is a ceramic nib, which is a little bit harder feel than the Lamy pen, definitely, and it doesn't have a button or an eraser. However, it means that it will never spend. So you will never need to change the nib. Now that's a huge thing. Before anyone asks, because I had questions, these pens, these never spend pens or everlasting pens, are designed to be used only with the Supernote, because their combination is the other way around. The screen itself is soft and the nib itself is hard. So if you use this harder ceramic nib on any of the devices, like Remarkable or something like that, you're gonna probably scratch your screen very quickly, so don't do that. These pens are pretty much exclusively for use with the Supernote. So those two things combined really offer for unique kind of contender on the now expanding e-ink note-taking devices market, and I really like that. Now, as I've been now using this as a kind of standardized type of test, let's do the lines testing just to make sure that everything is working the way it should. Yep, perfectly straight lines. And let's do here. Oops, I was erasing. Perfectly straight line with the ruler. Let's see with the hand, free hand, strong pressure. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just really good. The screen reflectivity is somewhere in between the Books devices and Remarkable 2. So if I take Nova 3, for example, without the screen protector, so this is just its default type of things, you can see that it's definitely less of an intensity and more diffuse than the Nova 3 is. So definitely better than Nova 3. However, when we compare it to the Remarkable 2, you can see that while very close On Remarkable 2 we have a little bit of a less intensity and more diffusion of the glare itself. So kind of fits right smack in the middle between the two devices. For me personally, I don't have a problem with it at all, and I haven't really encountered an issue where it kind of bothered me. Writing distance from the screen is absolutely minimal. As you can see, there's almost no distance, extremely small, and that's of course because it does not have a front light. So that's a huge benefit of non-front lit devices, and you can clearly see that the tip itself is almost writing on the surface itself. So despite having that dedicated soft kind of screen protector on top, it does not really interfere with the writing feel. The screen resolution is great. So you have the 300 ppi. That means that while the text will be small, so that's something that we'll be talking about when we talk about the reader and the formatting and all that kind of stuff. It's a small format, so if you're using a small type of document, of course that's going to be a thing. But no matter how small it gets, I mean, just get the reference how big the finger is and how small the text is, the clarity of the text is exceptionally good. So the clarity and the contrast, and of course you have the contrast control here in the reader as well, so you can increase the contrast if you want, but the readability of text is excellent, so no problems there whatsoever. And the same thing translates to the images as well. Extremely good clarity and really nice kind of contrast of the images and everything like that. Now this is contrast at minimum, so the only thing that I could kind of comment on is that currently I think that the contrast is maybe by default a little bit too aggressive, so I wish that I could lower the contrast a little bit more, but yeah, it's not a deal breaker or anything like that. It's just like a comfort type of thing. Then again, you get very nice blacks from this kind of setup, the way it's been kind of tweaked. So yeah, I think it's probably a personal preference, but as far as screen readability and quality goes, really great. I mean, yes, the text is even on the smallest of the text, and really detailed images, you have perfect clarity, so exceptionally good. I was very curious to see what the D.E.S.T.A result will actually show, because the initial impression was that it was very fast and smooth and everything like that, but so was the initial impression and when I was testing out the A6, and I couldn't really perceive the difference when I was doing it back to back, comparing the two with the same pen. I couldn't really feel the difference, and sure enough, the D.E.S.T.A actually confirmed that, so much so that the results of the first touch are pretty much identical. And the ridiculous thing is that in both cases I repeated the test like 5 times and then averaged out, and the averaged out value was, with the slight imperfections and all that kind of stuff, even the averaged out value was exactly the same. There's a little bit of a difference between the full line, but as I said before, that full line is open to interpretation and to more imprecision, and it's not that really relevant. The only one that's really relevant is that first contact speed, because that's what you perceive most. And yeah, I mean, there's like virtually no differences between these two. What does that mean? Well, Supernote A6 was excellent as far as the writing speed goes, so much so that it was surprising that it was a little bit faster than the Remarkable 1 back when I was testing all of this, and the same it goes for the Supernote A6X. So it's in the category of the of the Nova 3 and the Note Air and all these kind of things. So really good. However, the thing that it does have over the Boox devices, for example, as Note Air and Nova 3, is the writing feel. Now, the writing feel combined with this speed makes it actually a better experience than the Boox devices. There's one thing that no other device, even Remarkable, can't really deal with this thing, which is that they have this soft or softer type of surface on top, and that just gives it a very unique writing feel, something that you either like or you don't. I personally really like it, and I find it very comfortable. So yeah, the speed, it may not be the fastest one around, but when taken into context with the clarity of writing, how precise the pressure sensitivity is, and the comfort level and basically the writing feel that you have from this surface, especially when coupled with the Lamy pen, which is a very, very good pairing, it's an excellent writing experience. They were very, very smart, and this type of thing really differentiates the Supernote devices from the other ones. So that's something that's very, very good. Now, the battery testing was not the best. So because it doesn't have a reader that can auto flip pages, I was just doing the 1 hour of writing test, the standard one that I do. And when I checked it out, it was like, okay, it's at 22%, so that's for sure it's going to be enough, because usually it goes around 5-6% or something on other devices. However, I was unpleasantly surprised to see that the battery was dropping rapidly, like really rapidly. Now, Wi-Fi was turned on, no Bluetooth or anything like that. I didn't have the auto syncing option. You have to manually sync it anyway, so it wasn't syncing in the background or anything like that. It seems like it was simply spending a lot of battery, so much so that it actually in the end spent 17% of the battery capacity in 1 hour of writing, which basically gives the battery life expectancy for writing, at least continuous writing, of 5.9 or 6 hours on a single charge. While that's certainly good enough for, you know, students or something like that, it can last the day. At this price range and this category of device, you certainly expect this to actually last more than 1 day worth of writing, at least 2 days. When the price is taken into consideration, that battery life is a problem at the moment. However, I hope that that's something that will get fixed over time. And also, as far as the recharge speed goes, in under 3 hours, so I think 2 hours and 45 minutes, it recharged from 5% all the way to 98%, and automatically it stops at 98%, which is fine by me because it protects the battery and all that kind of stuff. So under 3 hours, fully recharged. And now we get to the pen. And I just got the notification that we have just gotten an update. Alright, so I am going to update, and basically what I'm going to be reviewing is the 159 version with the Kindle app. So yeah, so that we get the latest version here. Alright, here we go. So we've updated here, and yeah, the main thing that's actually improved that I'm going to be adding as part of this review is that apparently now we have a Kindle app as well. Now, keep in mind, I haven't had any time to test it because I've just gotten the update as I'm recording this. So yeah, I decided that it's better to actually to include this in the review than for you guys to wait. But anyway, onwards. Now we're talking about the pens, and there's like two different options that you can choose from. There's the more expensive option where you get the Super Star kind of option, where you get the Lamy Star pen, which is excellent in itself. It's a really good pen. It has the button for an eraser, and it just feels awesome. Very comfortable, and in combination with the screen, the soft surface of the screen, it's really comfortable and beautiful to use. And as I said, I don't think that the nibs are gonna spend as quickly as they would when the same pen is used on other devices, simply because of this forgiving and not so abrasive surface of the screen itself. So that's definitely a plus. Another type of pen that you have is a Heart of Metal series, and that one is also the more expensive option. However, it comes with the exact same top here, which is used on the default pen that actually comes with the cheapest option. And the main benefit here is this ceramic top, which is basically the never spend type of a pen. The way this works is that no, it doesn't have an eraser or anything like that, so that's something that you should be aware of. And yes, it feels a little bit harder than the Lamy pen, simply because it is a harder top, but it feels like maybe like a ballpoint pen or something like that. However, the main benefit is that you never need to change the tip, so it's an everlasting pen. A huge benefit, definitely. And the build quality on the Heart of Metal series and on the other one is really, really exceptional. This is probably the best built and designed pen of any of the devices that I've used. Unfortunately, this Heart of Metal pen can only and should only be used on the Supernote series because it's designed to be used with the soft screen protector it has. So the hard ceramic nib will most likely actually scratch or damage on a different type of a screen protector or a screen. So just be aware of that. Either one you choose, you have pluses and minuses. For me, Lamy pen is definitely the more better feeling type of a pen and more comfortable. And of course you have the button for the eraser. So better feel, better comfort, and an added functionality. However, the nibs, even though slowly, they will and they should spend over time. Now, I gotta be honest, I haven't noticed them spending nearly as quickly as on other devices, but you know, they don't guarantee that it's not going to spend, so I do want to say that it's very likely that they will over time spend it. You will need to change the nibs. However, on the default pen or the pens, the Heart of Metal or the default pen, which comes with the ceramic one, you don't have to change that, but you get a little bit of a harder feel, maybe something that you prefer, and you don't get the button, but the build quality is just super amazing. I mean, really, really properly awesome. Just look at this. It's so sweet. Very, very nice. I just love the feel of this one. Now let's check out the general user interface and navigation around the Supernote as a platform, because even though it's running on Android underneath it, it has its own user interface and approach. And one of the defining features, again, that actually separates the Supernote A6X and A5X that I think is coming soon is this slide here, the slider on the side. So this one is an exclusive feature that I absolutely adore. So this is a touch sensitive slider. If you slide down, it will give you the option of going to options here in Supernote, checking your recent documents or notebooks, it doesn't matter. Documents, notes, digest is basically your highlights. Then you have files or storage, and you have the email as well. You also have quick access area here, and you can add documents or anything like that, and whatever you add will be added here in quick access, which is great. When you actually slide the slider up, you force the refresh. Now, this is something that I absolutely love because it's totally effortless. And while you're working, you're simply just go swipe up and refresh, and you're rid of ghosting. And I think this is the most functional and elegant solution of all of the platforms that I've had. And, you know, on an e-ink platform, for me at least, this is a very important one, especially when drawing and things like that. Then that refresh really, really is important. So there's no menu diving, there's nothing to actually do. It's just you go whoop, refresh, done. This is your home screen, so to speak, because you switch between these modes that it's actually working in. So you skip a UI step. You don't have to go here and there, here and there. So technically speaking, yes, you do have that step, but it feels a lot better because you're not waiting for the things and you're not jumping from one screen to another, and you have an overview of where you were at the time. Because the same thing can be done regardless of where you are. If you are in a document or in a notebook or in a storage, in any of these files, you can definitely just jump into whatever it is that you may want. And that's a huge thing. I mean, for me, that's a big deal. And another benefit is that when you're jumping between modes, the document mode or the notebook mode, right? It's not getting you to the library or to the main menu of the things. No, it's getting you back to the document and the page that you were at. So flipping between these modes is really effortless, and it's very fast. So this is a very smart way of dealing with the UI, and that's one of the things that I absolutely adore about the platform, that they've kept it, and it does make it stand out for me. So in real world situations, when you actually get used to it, how it actually works, super handy and makes it feel agile, because you can just jump between the document page, this and that, and just works very nicely. In order to get to the settings, there's two ways to go about it. You can swipe down and you will get this general type of top bar, which is for Wi-Fi, LAN connection, synchronization. The settings you can access from here, or you can also access them from the slide down menu and by tapping on the Supernote. Whichever option you choose, you will end up in the same settings screen, which has all of the settings that you might actually want to test out and need. And as you can see, we have the option to synchronize with the Dropbox. If you're looking for the user manual, it's at the bottom here in the settings as well. Generally speaking, whether you're in documents or the notebook mode, it doesn't matter. The overall functionality and what you can do is pretty much exactly the same. On the top you have the directory structure, so you are able to go back out and kind of tap in where you want to go, and it's really interconnected and very intelligent, this whole system, because let's say for example that I go into document, right? Now you'll notice that things have changed a little bit once I enter the document. So if you pay attention, if I'm here, I just have the star symbol, right? And I have my folder structure. And if I go into the document, then it understands, hey, this is actually where my documents are. So then you have added options. You can add a notebook, you can add a folder, and you can sort them by name and do all of these kind of things. So this kind of smart, intelligent browser is a nice thing to have. However, you should keep in mind that, yeah, you can't really just add a folder directly from here in the root of the device. You can add a folder inside of this, but not inside of the root of the device itself, so that your notebooks are in notes, you know, kind of makes sense, and that your documents are in the document, and that your exports are in export, and styles and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's again very well balanced and very well thought out system that works. So you have normal things. You can range by name, time, and size. And of course you can choose to have ascending or descending order. Super simple and super self-explanatory. And finally you can adjust to have thumbnails or a list between the files. You can add a new notebook, so the plus sign is only to add new notebooks. You can't add new documents at this time. Then you can add a new folder, or you can actually search for starred documents or favorited documents. And you can make your documents favorites by basically just tapping the little star here underneath them. So if I choose these are my favorites, and then they go to favorite, there they are. So very self-explanatory and no unnecessary steps. I really like that they've basically trimmed down the UI experience very nicely, and it's super streamlined. I mean, these things like this, super simple, makes perfect sense. Long pressing of a document will get you to the multi-select mode. So once you're in a multi-select mode, you can tap on multiple files, and then you can copy them, you can move them, or you can delete them, or if you have just one of them selected, you can also rename them right there from the main menu. So you don't have to enter the document and then rename it, which is also handy. When you go to files or storage, generally speaking, it's nicely organized, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So just to kind of cover it, basically your books and documents and Word files and everything else should be and will be in the documents folder. Everything that you save and export, be it a document or a notebook, it doesn't matter, will end up in the export folder. Your My Style is basically where you want to put your custom templates. The notebooks are in the note folder, screenshots are in the screenshot folder, and inbox is where the files that you download from the mailbox, from the email client, where they will be sorted out. So no unnecessary folders, no confusion or anything like that. Again, clarity of use and ease of use, and this thing I think is an important one because it makes it very easy and intuitive to know, okay, well, I want my style or template, it's here. So you don't have to dig around like, for example, you have to do on books. It's a little bit kind of messy, you have to dig around, and that's the part of the learning curve. And that's not necessarily books' fault because they're just using an Android, right? So that's an Android type of a feel. And that's why I like that they are using Android, but they have this thing on top of it and help curve that learning curve a little bit more. So very nice thing to see.